Hello, my name is Erin, and today we'll be talking about types of nonfiction. And so, I guess to begin with, we should define what nonfiction is. And nonfiction is exactly what it sounds like. It's something that's not fiction. So often, nonfiction is a genre that conveys a lot of facts, right? So it gives you details, facts, but it doesn't make anything up. So, for example, if you were to read a book on George Washington and his life, that would be a nonfiction book. It would give you the facts about his life, maybe the battles he's fought, how he was as the first president. If you were to pick up a book on the rainforest and maybe its demise because of climate change. That would be another example of the author kind of relaying facts to you, not making anything up. If you were to find a book on maybe that outlines Massachusetts, its various counties, and it gives you a lot of statistics or facts about the different regions of Massachusetts, that would be another great example of nonfiction. So nonfiction is broken down into several subcategories, and we'll be talking about biographies, autobiographies, and memoirs. So a biography is when someone writes about someone else's life. So for example, here you see that Walter Isaacson wrote a biography on Steve Jobs, where he conveyed the information and the facts about Steve Jobs' life, his company, and what he has done. An autobiography is when someone writes about his or her own life. So you see here that this book was written by Benjamin Franklin, and he wrote it about his own life, kind of hopping on, or I guess staying on the same train of talking about Steve Jobs. His daughter, Lisa Brennan Jobs, wrote a memoir, and a memoir is when someone writes about a certain time in his or her own life. And so in this book, she titled Small Fry, she kind of talks about the first couple of years of her life. Essays and nonfiction narratives. So the essays usually contain an argument, and it usually focuses on a topic. So for example, if I were to write an essay on maybe why the minimum wage should be raised in this country, for example, that would be an essay. I would be relaying the facts to you, the details, supporting my argument, which is that the minimum wage should be raised with this. With the facts and supporting details. A nonfiction narrative is a narrative, but and it's a narrative, meaning that it's a lot more descriptive. Maybe it'll have a lot more details, but it's still nonfiction in that it's conveying facts. So, for example, in this little portion, it says the waves crashed down on the sand, spraying everything within its vicinity in a salty shower. On the horizon, the sun slowly sank into the waters, and the last of the hungry seagulls screeched. Soon the sky was dark, but the ocean was still alive, teeming with wildlife. So this is an example of where it's very narrative. It feels a lot more descriptive, less, um, I want to say dull, but you see that that this paragraph is still conveying a lot of facts. Nothing is made up. Lastly, you have editorials, and they are often known as opinion pieces. They're often found in newspapers, and opinion pieces really just give you an opinion on a topic. And usually the author's point of view is showcased. So in this first opinion piece here, or this editorial, Scott Simon writes, when baseball cards sell for millions, they lose their real value. So he published this on NPR. Where he gives his opinions on baseball cards. And then you see here in the New York Times, um, this other author wrote about learning to love daylight saving time. So this author most likely gives his point of view in this opinion piece, but it's still nonfiction in that he's conveying facts to kind of further his argument. So those were the types of nonfiction, and I hope that was helpful.